I knew, like, I probably shouldn't have worn it, but, I did it anyway. I told myself it was just, harmless fun. But looking back, yeah, I know better now. My name's Lindsay. I'm 27, and honestly, I'm still trying to figure out how everything just, like, spiraled so fast. It started with this Halloween party. My best friend, Kayla, had been, hyping it up for, like, weeks. She kept saying, "Girl, this is, like, our one night to go wild. No rules, no holding back." And, I wasn't planning on going at first. My husband, Matt, who's 29, isn't really a fan of, like, parties, especially the ones with those costume contests that are basically, just an excuse for people to, wear as little as possible. I mean, I knew that. It's not like Matt is controlling or anything, but he's got this, like, thing about respect that he's, always talking about. But Kayla? Oh, she doesn't care about stuff like that. She kept saying, "You're grown, Lindsay. You can wear whatever you want." And, maybe it got into my head a little. Like, I am grown, right? Can make my own decisions. So that's, how I ended up in the tightest, shortest outfit I've ever worn in my life. It was, this black lace corset with this tiny matching miniskirt that, like, barely covered anything. My first thought when I saw myself in the mirror was, Matt's gonna, flip if he sees me in this. I almost changed. Like, I really almost did. But, Kayla was already outside texting me, like, "Hurry up. You look fine. Stop overthinking." So I grabbed my jacket, threw it over the outfit, and, left before Matt could even see me. He was sitting in the living room playing some game on his phone, and he, like, barely even looked up when I said, "I'm heading out. I'll be back later." He didn't even ask where I was going, which, should have been, like, my first clue that something was off. The party, though? It was, a lot. Like, music blasting, lights flashing, and everywhere I turned, there were people dancing, drinking, and, just doing way too much. It wasn't really my scene, but Kayla? She was already, like, recording videos for her story, screaming, "Yes, Lindsay! You look so good, girl." And, I won't lie. The attention, like, felt kinda good at first. Guys were, like, staring, tapping their friends, like, "Yo, look at her." I'm not dumb. I knew why they were looking. The outfit didn't, leave much to the imagination. But I told myself, it was just for fun. Like, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't flirting or dancing with anyone. I wasn't, acting single or whatever. I just let people look. But, the more I thought about it, the weirder I felt. Like, every time I caught a guy staring for too long, I'd pull my jacket a little tighter around me. And then Kayla would, like, tug it back off, laughing, "Why are you covering up? You look hot." I should have left earlier. I really should have. But, I stayed until, like, 2 a.m. When I finally got back home, I knew something was off, like, immediately. It was too quiet. Normally, Matt's still up watching TV or something, but, the living room was dark. I figured, maybe he went to bed early, so I took off my heels at the door, trying to be, quiet. I crept into the bedroom, expecting to see him asleep, but he wasn't there. That's when I heard this faint tap-tap-tap sound coming from the kitchen. I walked out slowly, my heart starting to, pound a little. The light over the stove was on, casting just enough glow to see him sitting at the table. He was, like, scrolling on his phone, his eyes locked on the screen. He didn't look up. He didn't say anything. I, laughed it off, pretending like nothing was wrong. "Why are you up so late?" I asked, walking over to him. He still didn't look at me. Just kept scrolling. "You good?" I asked again, this time, like, softer. And then, finally, he looked at me. Not with anger, not with yelling. No, it was worse. He looked, like, calm. Too calm. "How was the party?" he asked, his eyes not leaving mine, like he was waiting for me to say something specific. "It was fine," I shrugged, trying to keep my voice, light. "Just a bunch of people dancing. Nothing crazy." He didn't say anything for a second. Just stared. Then, with this dry, almost bored tone, he asked, "You forget to mention the part where you left here dressed like my wife and came back dressed like..." He didn't finish the sentence. Just shook his head, laughing like he couldn't believe it himself. My stomach, dropped. What are you talking about, Matt? I snapped, trying to, play dumb. It was a Halloween costume. Literally, everyone was dressed like that. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table, his hands clasped together like he was holding himself back. Don't do that, Lindsay, he said, his eyes narrowing. Don't play stupid with me. You left here one way and came back looking like... He stopped, shaking his head again. And you thought I wouldn't notice? I could feel my chest tightening like I was struggling to breathe. Why are you acting like I did something wrong? I shot back, trying to sound, annoyed instead of scared. I didn't do anything. Matt tilted his head. His eyes locked on mine like he was trying to figure me out. Yeah, you did, he said, his voice low and sharp. Then he, pulled out his phone, tapped the screen a few times, and held it up for me to see. My heart, sank. It was me, clear as day, on Kayla's story. I was laughing, spinning around in that stupid outfit while some guys in the background stared like it was, free entertainment. I hadn't even realized she'd posted it. She didn't tag me, but it didn't matter. It was obviously me. I froze. My brain scrambled for something to say, anything to, explain it away. That's not what it looks like, I blurted out, my voice shaking. Matt raised an eyebrow, slowly nodding like, no, it's exactly what it looks like. Silence. Just, this heavy silence hanging between us. I opened my mouth, then closed it, then opened it again. All I could manage was, I didn't do anything, Matt. I didn't cheat. I didn't touch anyone. I didn't, But you knew, he cut me off, his voice cold and steady. You knew exactly what you were doing when you left this house. That's why you didn't let me see you before you left. He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms like he was, done with the conversation. That's why you're standing here now, scrambling for a story. You knew. My hands started shaking. You're blowing this way out of proportion, I snapped, feeling like my face heat up. It's not that serious, Matt. It was just a party. Costume. Stop acting like I, betrayed you or something. He smiled, but it wasn't like a real smile. It was that tight, disappointed kind of smile people give when they're just done. That's the thing, Lindsay, he said quietly, his eyes piercing mine. You did betray me. And you're still doing it right now, acting like you didn't. I felt my breath catch in my throat. I wanted to, scream or argue or, flip this whole thing on him somehow, but I couldn't. So, I did what I always do when I feel cornered. I deflected. You're being dramatic, I said, crossing my arms. If you're this insecure, Matt, that's, a you problem. His eyes didn't leave mine, not for a second. You're right, he said, his voice flat. I'm done being insecure. And I'm done being stupid, too. Then, he stood up, calm as ever, grabbed his phone and walked past me without another word. I didn't follow him. I didn't move. I just stood there, my heart pounding, wondering what the hell he meant by done. I stayed like that for what felt like forever, just staring at the spot where he had walked past me. My mind was racing, and, I was caught in this weird loop of guilt, anger, and confusion. What the hell was I supposed to do now? I mean, yeah, okay, I knew he was mad, but he was acting like I'd, committed some kind of unforgivable sin. In my mind, I hadn't done anything wrong. I didn't cheat. I didn't flirt. I wasn't trying to, get with anyone at that party. It was just a costume, a few drinks, and, some fun. Why was he making it into such a big deal? I walked into the living room, still shaking, trying to figure out, what to say next. Matt was sitting on the couch now, his phone in hand, scrolling like he couldn't care less about me standing there. He didn't even glance up when I walked in. It was like I didn't even exist. Matt, I said, my voice quieter this time. Can we, talk about this? He didn't answer right away. He just kept scrolling, tapping his screen completely unfazed. Finally, he set the phone down on the coffee table and looked at me. But, it wasn't the look I wanted. It wasn't even close. He looked exhausted. "I'm done talking, Lindsay," he said, his voice flat, like he'd already made up his mind. My heart sank. "Done talking? What does that even mean?" I asked, my voice getting louder despite myself. "You're just gonna ignore the fact that this was like a stupid Halloween costume? That's it? You're just gonna act like I was trying to hurt you?" He shook his head slowly, his expression a mix of pity and frustration. "No, I'm not ignoring it. But I'm done playing games. I'm done pretending everything's fine when you've been doing whatever you want, acting like I don't matter. Like my feelings don't count." That hit me harder than I expected. I opened my mouth to argue, to tell him he was being ridiculous, but the words, caught in my throat. I wanted to scream, to flip the narrative so I wasn't the bad guy here. But deep down, I knew he was right, at least about some of it. "Matt," I whispered, walking closer, trying to, soften the tension. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry, okay?" I crouched down in front of him, hoping he'd, see how sorry I was. But even as I said it, I could tell the apology didn't feel real. It sounded hollow, even to me. And Matt? He didn't flinch. He didn't look away. He just stared at me, his eyes colder than I'd ever seen. "I don't want your apology, Lindsay," he said, almost too quietly. "What I want is for you to realize how much you've disrespected me, not just tonight, but for months." Months? What the hell was he even talking about? I hadn't done anything different. He was just being dramatic, right? "Months," I repeated, my voice shaky now. "What do you mean by that?" He stood up, walking over to the window, staring out like he needed a moment to gather his thoughts. "You've been checked out for a while, Lindsay. And I've been putting up with it. But tonight..." He turned to face me, his expression hard, almost unrecognizable. "Tonight you crossed a line. And you're still standing here, acting like it's nothing." I felt my chest tighten, his words hitting me like a ton of bricks. "I'm not checked out, Matt. I don't know. I was just trying to have fun for once. I didn't mean to make you feel this way," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "If that's your idea of sorry, it's not enough," he replied, his eyes narrowing. "You still don't get it." I didn't know what else to say. I didn't know how to fix this. And, part of me didn't even want to fix it. I was mad at him for blowing this whole thing out of proportion, and I was mad at myself for letting it get this far. I just wanted to walk away, to, forget the whole thing ever happened. But Matt wasn't letting me off the hook. "I'm done, Lindsay," he said, his voice firm, like a decision had been made. "I can't keep doing this. You need to figure out if you even want to be with me, because I'm not just your safety net anymore. I'm not here for you to mess with whenever it's convenient." I stood there, frozen, as he grabbed his jacket and headed toward the door. "You know where I'm going," he said quietly, not even glancing back as he left. The door slammed behind him, and suddenly the house felt so empty it was, suffocating. And that's when it hit me. He was serious. Matt was done.